What's up everyone, I'm Jessekazam and welcome back to another Escape from Tarkov video. In this video we're going to be talking about all the grenades in Escape from Tarkov, what their differences are, and certain situations you might want to use one over the other. I stream Escape from Tarkov a few days a week on Twitch and all my links will be down below. I'd absolutely love to have you stop by, ask questions, just hang out for a little bit. We also have a Discord where you can ask more questions, get some help, or even run some raids with some people. But with all that stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right in. So there's currently 3 different types of grenades in Escape from Tarkov. You have fragmentation grenades, flashbangs, and smoke grenades. So we have 3 different types of fragmentation grenades in Escape from Tarkov right now. The F1, the RGD5, and the M67. There's only 1 flashbang in the game, and there's only 1 smoke in the game. The only thing, as far as I'm aware, as far as confirmed grenades that are coming, is that we do have a few more smoke grenades coming. They leaked kind of some information back in a podcast a while ago about a few different smoke grenades and a few different colors and stuff like that will be coming into the game, which I am very excited for. But this is what we have right now. So we've talked a little bit about grenades in the past in some of my other videos, but just quickly, you can only throw grenades from your pockets or your rig. You can't throw a grenade from your backpack. And you can actually bind a grenade if you would like to a number like you would meds or something like that. And then that way you can do an underhand toss if you want, or just kind of hold it out and like prepare the grenade beforehand. Check out my 10 tips and 10 more tips that Escape from Tarkov doesn't tell you videos for stuff like that. But really we're here to talk about the differences between these grenades, and mainly the differences between the 3 different fragmentation grenades, because, you know, they're all priced differently and people are, you know, often wondering why use one over the other. The M67s are purchased from Peacekeeper and they're purchased with USD at about 90 USD, which makes them, you know, around 9,000 rubles. The RGD5s and the F1s are purchased from Purpore. The RGD5s are cheaper than the F1s. The F1s can be pretty expensive. I think they're around 13,000 rubles, and they can be even more on the flea market if you're trying to buy more than Purpore will sell you. The main differences between these is the blast radius, the fragmentation count, and the fuse time. So for instance, the F1 is the kind of the most common grenade. It's the one that people use most often. Has an explosion delay of 3.5 seconds, a maximum fragmentation damage of 110, you know, 150 fragments, and the explosion radius is 3.8 meters. And obviously, I mean, you know, you don't need a video for this. You can pull these things up and read them yourselves. It's nothing crazy. The differences are pretty minimal, but we can talk about why, you know, you might want to choose one versus the other. So the RGD5 and the F1 hand grenade both have the exact same fuse delay of 3.5 seconds. The RGD5 has a little bit more potential damage, but I think that is basically negligible. And they have similar explosion radiuses. The F1 has a little bit higher, but the big thing is the fragment count. So I think that's probably the main reason why people do it. There's just more damage potential there because you've got more fragments going out of that grenade. And then the M67, the big difference here is the fuse time. The explosion delay is 5 seconds, which that might not seem like a lot, between 3.5 seconds and 5 seconds. But towards the end, I'm going to just kind of throw them all in sequence so you can see what the delays are on them. And you'll notice that this can feel like forever in a raid, because these numbers are not taking into account the time of the animation for you to pull the grenade out, pull the pin, and then throw it. So it can feel like forever since you actually press G that happens. The fragmentation count is 100, so similar to the RGD5, and it has a little bit bigger even of an explosion radius, which is kind of nice. These grenades aren't used a lot because of that fuse delay, but I'm starting to see a lot more players use this fuse delay to their advantage. It can feel so long that I've seen clips of people who will basically bait players to do something. When you hear a grenade, when you hear that clink of it landing right next to you, even if you don't see it, even if you're not sure exactly where it is, you're absolute first instinct is to run. It's to reposition, right? There is nothing more frustrating than holding a really good position and then just blowing up and not even getting a chance to like aim and shoot at the person. And so what I've seen a lot of players do is they'll throw this grenade into almost like a safe place, maybe right at their feet or right into a doorway. Then they can push all the way in and around a corner maybe to cover and basically aggressively push the people who now have their back turned because they're trying to run away. I've seen a ton of clips of that working really, really well, and it's actually really inventive and a fun way to use these nades. I've started experimenting with that a little bit as well, and it can be a lot of fun to do that. So those are the main differences between them. There's a price difference. There's a very small damage difference, but the most of the damage is coming from the amount of fragments and the potential to explode, or the potential to damage somebody after it explodes. Moving on to the Zarya. The Zarya is the only flashbang in the game. The other benefit of the Zarya is that it only takes 2 seconds from the time the pin is pulled and you've thrown the grenade. It only takes 2 seconds to detonate. So a lot of people use these because not only, like we'll see in a second, if you get a good flash on someone, it is devastating. It is absolutely devastating to that player and their potential to do really anything for the next few seconds or even 30 seconds. But not only that, is it explodes so fast, the potential for somebody to actually like land something good is much higher. Because the thing with the grenades is most of the time you throw a fragmentation grenade, you're really just displacing your enemy. You're showing them where, you're using that information to figure out where they are so that you can then push or something like that. Or you're just spamming in a bunch of nades to keep them at bay or something like that. But this grenade really allows you to land it really good and then just get that flash and then move in. Now the downside is, of course, that you're not gonna know if you flashed somebody. You know what I mean? You can try and peek a corner and see what they're looking like. A lot of times people will just start spraying and praying if they're flashed really good. So you can try to use some of that knowledge to your advantage to figure out if you have, but that's the obvious downside. If you hurt somebody with a grenade, you'll oftentimes hear them grunt, or if you kill somebody, then they're dead and you can peek a corner or whatever, and you know that you don't have to worry about that threat anymore. So these, once again, probably aren't utilized very often at all because of that, because there's no way to tell if you flash somebody and there's no damage potential. The other grenade we have is the single smoke grenade. This is the most underused grenade in Escape from Tarkov, and the reason is because it takes so long to bloom. So the explosion delay is 3.5 seconds of that's before it starts blooming that smoke. But once it starts blooming, it is very, very slow. It takes a really long time. We'll see here in a second. And it takes up 2 spots. So you can't just throw it in your pockets. You have to have a 2 slot. And then that often means if you have a 2 slot, because your character will pull grenades from your pockets first and then your tactical rig, and the smokes have to go in your tactical rig, well, that means if you have any other grenades, you have to bind this so that you can use it exactly when you want to. Because if you have any other grenades in your pockets and then a smoke as a just in case, and you just press G, you're going to throw that first. So it can be a little weird. It can be a little wonky. That doesn't mean that there's no use for it, though. I have seen people use these. A great example is a friend of mine loves to use these on maps like Woods. If we see an enemy at like a medium to long distance, we start engaging and it doesn't immediately end in death, like, hey, or now we're starting that reposition game. If he wants to go right, he'll chuck a smoke grenade left. Because as the 10-20 seconds of everybody repositioning, now you have completely divided the attention of your enemy. Because that is the thing, is when you do see someone use smoke, it is so hard not to stare at it. Because you're worried that somebody's just going to emerge from it and start shooting at you. Or even just at the bare minimum, you've distracted somebody. Now they know that they have to watch more than one angle. Does that kind of make sense? So it can be used. The uses for it currently are pretty minimal because of that delay. But there are uses for it. You can also just meme around with it. Me and a buddy have just taken like 15 of these into labs and just gone ham with them. But we're really excited about the future of smoke grenades because they're some of the more westernized smoke grenades that bloom a lot faster and are different colors and stuff like that, and potentially one slot, we don't know. So we're really excited for the future of those grenades. So now I'll go through and I'll just throw all the grenades so you can see kind of like what the actual fuse times look like in game. So we'll just kind of go ahead and throw them. This is the F1. So, you know, definitely if you're throwing it longer range like that, you're definitely going to see a quick ability to, or it kind of explodes not too long after it impacts because a lot of that time is spent in the air. But if I'm just trying to throw it around this corner, that's a pretty decent amount of time to run if somebody threw that at me. You know what I mean? Like that person could have heard it bounce here and then just started wrapping around. So these long range grenades are really kind of nice because by the time it hits over there, there's not a whole lot of time. But when they're close like that, really all the grenades, you have that ability to run away. So this is the RGD5. Basically exactly the same as the F1. The F1 is just going to have more fragments and so a little bit more potential to do some damage. The M67, we can see when we toss it even long range. See, when you're reading those descriptions and you only hear a 1.5 second difference, doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're here, it's really a lot. And once again, you know, if I wanted to do something, if there was somebody on the other side of this red and I just tossed the grenade right here, I've got plenty of time to push and make a play on him. He hears the grenade and starts running away or trying to find cover. Plenty of time for me to do something. Now the flash grenades, once again, very quick for the fuse times. And you can even get them to explode in the air because once again, you only have a few seconds. So if you're throwing it long range, they can explode in the air. If you're throwing it around a corner, it's nice and quick. So, you know, that's the huge advantage there. You know, we've got the smoke grenades here, and this is just, like we said, it's quite a while for it to start blooming. And we'll just kind of let this ride out. So, you know, it just now started. It's not even the size of a person yet. In any sort of close to mid-range battle, that's just not going to be super effective. Now, once again, if I saw somebody all the way over there, we started taking shots and we didn't land it, and I start maybe healing up back here, and then I start to see something bloom over there and he actually went flanking this way, you know what I mean? I would be confused. I would be like, well, they threw a smoke. Are they going to be coming around this way? And it can distract a little bit. Once it's fully bloomed up like this, you can see that it can actually be pretty powerful. You know what I mean? Like you can't see through it and somebody could be looting in there. Somebody could just pop out and shoot me. They can be effective once they've bloomed. It's just the bloom. That's the problem. And so the last thing I'll show you is like the effect of the stun grenades. Now the stun grenades don't just affect you head on. If I throw it and then I'm looking this way, you know what I mean? It kind of pulls just down in the bottom left-hand corner and it'll start to dissipate a little bit quicker. You can even get it to stun you even less than that. Because like if you throw it and you're looking even farther away. So that's something to be careful of. If you're using the stun grenades, you can oftentimes get a little bit of a stun on yourself, which can be frustrating. And then, you know, this obviously in the bottom left-hand corner, that's going to stay much longer. The rest of my screen, my vision is almost completely back and it's here. Now, if these hit you head on, it can be devastating. It can take a really long time to go away, and you even get an auditory kind of ring as well, which means, you know, your two main senses in Tarkov, your hearing and your sight, are impaired. And so this is kind of what that looks like. See, you get that loud screech. That's not pleasant for anybody. And not only, even as your vision comes back, it's blurry. You start to get a waving effect on your screen. I mean, you are absolutely just stunned and concussed. And if that big old bright spot is right in the middle of your screen, it can take a while. So in a close range gunfight, that amount of time to even get to here, where my vision is still impaired, but my peripheral vision is okay, that can provide an insane advantage in a firefight. But once again, there's no way to know that somebody has been concussed. So that's really it. Those are the grenades in Escape from Tarkov. I hope that this helps just break down the differences between them and then gave you a few different instances where you might want to use one versus the other. I definitely highly recommend experimenting with all of them, even the smokes if you want to kind of meme around a little bit. But they all can actually provide really cool gameplay in and of themselves. So I hope that this helped explain that and you can have some more fun in your raids. Thank y'all so much, as always, for taking the time to check out this video. If you like the video, think about giving it a thumbs up and subscribing for more content like this. Please drop a comment down below if you have any questions about this video or if there's any guides you'd like to see me make here in the future. I'm always trying to create content that helps shorten the learning curve of Escape from Tarkov and gets you and your raids having fun as soon as possible. Thank you again for stopping by, and I'll see y'all on the next one.